Bro.
Hey! What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Nerd Up Podcast. I'm joined by Ryan and his son Matt. You don't see his name on there because he didn't bother to add his name, but it's fine. They are the creators of and the promoters of the Nephilim comic, which is I don't want to say Kickstarter. It's an
indie comic.
It's an indie comic. That was created by Ryan Doobie, also known as Ryan Zeverfett, if you follow Point Extra Lounge. And he has created a character, the Nephilim, Neph, and it's really, really cool. So definitely check that out. Where can they find your work on the Nephilim?
Anywhere. It doesn't matter if the campaigns are live or not. We're always going to have it at a central location at zevercomics.com. zevercomics.com. Check the description, and you can check out all of the campaigns. We have so much on that website. We spent a while building that thing and putting it together for people who enjoy comic books and superheroes. So check it out on zevercomics.com.
zevercomics.com. Definitely check that out, you guys. Okay, so another thing too that I want to get to. We do have some screenshots of the Nephilim. Here's one right here, my favorite. This might be at the end of the comic.
That's after a long night of, as you can see, he got slashed in the stomach, which actually incapacitates him.
Oh, God. God, the show, The Acolyte. What a joke.
Why did you say that name?
That's how you kill a Wookiee.
That's how you kill a Wookiee. You slash him across the belly.
And I thought he smelled bad on the outside.
Although, if that was what's her face from Kenobi, she would have lived.
She would have lived.
She would have lived.
Anybody who gets add Lobaka or whatever his name was, I forget his name, but add him to the list with Qui-Gon Jinn as people who got ran through.
Cal Naka, I think his name was.
Did not make it.
And also, don't forget Sabine. She got stabbed by a lightsaber, was able to walk away.
Yeah, and what happened with it was the Book of Boba Fett or something like that, or whatever, where some the lady.
Yeah, Finnick. She got shot,
Fennec.
Shot in the abdomen.
All of a sudden, we got new
and she's okay. She's on the road.
She's okay. Guys, if you want to support the channel, I'll put the link in the chat. You can join me over on Patreon, or you can join me over at my website. I'll leave the link because it's linked to my Dre Area Sports account. There's a feature to be a member of the Nicotina Show, which I'll soon change that to Nerd Up. So, with that being said, we are going to get to our main topic of the day, which is fixing the sequel trilogy. We're going to go through and we're going to do our best to fix the sequel trilogy and make it a much better storyline and a more, I don't know, intriguing storyline that not only resonates with the original fans, but maybe brings in some other fans as well. But here's the thing, is that when you're creating a story for Star Wars, you go, man, we have all these fans have been just dying for more Star Wars.
We don't care about
them. I want all the new fans.
I don't care about them.
I want all the new fans. No, see, that's where Kathleen Kennedy went wrong. Big time.
You don't like Star Wars? Well, we got something for you.
Yeah, here it comes. So we're going to talk a little bit about that later in the show. So stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, we're going to go through our rapid fire news round and go over some of the latest news surrounding Star Wars, DC, Marvel, and all the shit that we like to talk about. Let's get started with that right now. Ryan Johnson says he would feel blessed if he had a chance to make another Star Wars movie. I had the time of my life doing it. I'm now an even bigger Star Wars fan than I was going into it.
You have to be from zero to what? from not being a Star Wars fan to becoming a Star Wars fan, that's an increase. So, I mean, this guy has no idea of the lore or anything like that.
No. In fact, I would say this. This is my response to this.
Come on, don't bullshit me. Bullshit. Bullshit.
You should have been a big fan going into this, not one that was like, I kind of like Star Wars. I guess I could do it. And, his whole story is that he pitched a trilogy to Lucasfilm, and they said, well, you know what? We like what you have to say. How would you feel about doing the second movie in our new trilogy? Because we don't have a director yet. and here's the problem, is that Kathleen Kennedy is a facilitator, right? She's the one that gets people in places, that provides you with the assets you need to get the project done.
She's a producer.
She's not a creative. Yeah. And so her logic was, I'm going to put the creative aspect of Star Wars into the hands of the directors. They're the ones who are going to depict where the story goes. And that was her biggest downfall, because they hired this fucking idiot who came in and just took a shit all over Star Wars. Look, if you like Last Jedi, that's fucking great. I don't, as you can tell. I think it just destroyed the lore altogether. But do I want Rian Johnson touching anything that's to do with Star Wars?
Hello, no.
No, get the fuck out of here. I don't want anything to do with Rian Johnson and Star Wars. That shit needs to go away. He needs to just fucking get lost when it comes to Star Wars. Matt, would you be excited for a Rian Johnson return?
No, dude, even Mark Hamill was like, "What is my character doing?" In all the interviews he had, he was like, shooting it down. And then I think Disney finally reprimanded him or something, because he kept speaking so negatively about, like, this is not the direction my character would go.
Exactly.
And, Rian Johnson has never read a book or seen any movie in Star Wars ever in his life.
Yeah,
he completely wiped the slate. Like, the whole lightsaber thing is the perfect metaphor for how he treated Star Wars. Rey handed him the Force Awakens script. He threw that shit out the window. He was
exactly.
Like,
I
forget what you know or what I know.
Yeah. I remember watching that scene and wondering what the fuck what just happened. It was on the verge of being probably one of the most biggest epic scenes in Star Wars in 30 years. It was like, here, oh my God, there's Luke Skywalker. She's handing in the lightsaber that used to be Anakin Skywalker's lightsaber that he lost in The Empire Strikes Back on Bespin. How did she get the lightsaber? Where did it come from? How did it survive? And what does he do? He throws it behind him. I don't care.
Story for another time.
Oh my God. It
could have been.
No one's ever really gone.
It could have been an epic moment. And I think this is probably maybe what JJ set up. Was that, when she came on Octu and was like giving him the lightsaber, it was like, Rey, I'm your father, or some shit like that. It's supposed to be some dramatic thing, but then, like you said, Rian Johnson just cheesed all over it and was like, I don't care what that was supposed to be. I'm gonna turn it into a joke. And the joke didn't really land with a lot of people.
Not at all.
It was a lot of nervous laughing.
Yeah, what are we doing here?
What happened? What the fuck are we
let's
doing?
hurry up and get to the Mary Poppins scene. But the thing is with Rian Johnson, is like, and this goes back to Kathleen Kennedy, is that she should never have given him the opportunity,
the free
or
reign.
the number one, to shoot a film that he didn't come in to pitch. So he didn't come in because they needed a director for episode 8. So he came in, he hailed the call. He was pitching something else, which his other project may have been something interesting or good, and it probably needed a lot of refining or a refinement from people like Filoni or whoever else that was working at the Lucasfilm to sort of modify a script or treatment to kind of flow with the Star Wars universe. What the biggest problem that Kathleen gave, she gave not only Ryan, but also JJ the writing credits. She was like, you can write and direct. This is something that George Lucas did. And I have full faith that you guys who don't have much credit behind you and don't have much success behind you, like JJ Abrams, he is out of the two, the most successful of the two, but that's only because, he's sort of a mimic from, the Spielberg, sort of era, it's like he replicates what they have done. And, he did a decent job with, like, maybe Star Trek. for some people who don't like Star Trek, I liked it mainly because it felt more Star Wars to me. Because Star Trek is habitually, just more analytical and just it's very diplomatic and how it overcomes obstacles and things like that. Whereas his Star Trek was more shoot 'em up, adventure, and all that. And that's why everybody was like, "Oh man, yeah, what a perfect fit." J.J. Abrams, could totally direct a Star Wars film because he did make it look like the predecessors, what George did and the like. And that is why everybody was like, yes, okay, Disney, they've had Star Tours, they've had Star Wars days at their parks. They already are familiar with this franchise. It's an easy marriage. And then you bring in J.J. Abrams, who said, no, I'm not going to, I don't want to direct the film. They went back to the guy that said no and said, please direct, here's more money.
Yeah, please.
And that's never a really good. You want somebody who's hungry to tell the story, right? You want somebody who really like, yo, I really want to. I have a story to tell. I like the the direction you guys are going. Let me have a crack at it, right? And not only that, I have a great resume, so you can have full trust in me that I'm going to do a good job. But they didn't have that going in, and that goes back to Kathleen Kennedy helming Lucasfilm, making poor decisions on what direction to take and who to go with and how to give you a fantastic product. Because at the end of the day, these are products. At the end of the day, these are things to be consumed.
Okay.
And as we as Star Wars fans have consumed the content that they've been constantly putting out, it's left a bad taste in not only our taste buds, but also other fans that sort of feel the same way for the property that they've loved for a lifetime.
Well, and we talk about some of the projects that Kathleen Kennedy greenlit and really delve into. Here's a shot of one of them right now, which is actually our next topic.
It's Ryan Johnson.
And here is the Black Series. I guess this talks about this fucking idiot, OSHA, and it's marked down to 49 cents at Ross. So there you go. That's the
Ross.
value of
at least
Disney
it's not
Star
at Mervin's.
Wars. At least it's not at Mervin's, but we can all agree the Acolyte was a complete abomination. Let's move on from there. Jonathan Tropper, not Trooper, who I guess he's the director of this new movie, says Star Wars Starfighter will not feature any legacy characters.
Good.
No shit.
You're not going to see any of the characters you've seen in any of the movies. This is the problem with fucking Star Wars, is that they're so eager to get away from the legacy characters that it's actually hurt their brand, because now you're introducing characters that nobody gives a shit about. I'm supposed to give a shit about fucking Ryan Gosling? I mean, look, unless the story is compelling, you're going to lose me in like the first 30 minutes. I'm going to be like, okay, I don't really care. I'm just going to get through this now. So,
but the on the flip side, the good thing about this is, just like the Skeleton Crew not using legacy characters, is that these directors or writers or stories cannot impact the main narrative or anything like that. So if it's
to me, I don't care. To me, that's chicken shit. That's like, hey, let's keep making stories that dances around the main characters and the main story and the main saga. Let's just do that because we don't want to touch it, because last time we did, we fucked it up so bad that everyone got so mad at us. It's like, grow some fucking balls and make good, compelling stories that center around the main characters. If you have to recast Luke Skywalker, if you have to recast Han Solo and all that, then do it. But do it in the right way. Like, come on, you guys.
What's that guy's name?
I don't even know.
Sebastian Stan.
No. The Solo kid.
Alden Ehrenreich or whatever.
Yeah, Alden Ehrenreich.
Ehrenreich.
I mean, he didn't do a horrible job, but it wasn't. Number one, the story wasn't needed. Number two, it was another mishap, another misstep by Kathleen Kennedy hiring the guys that did 21 Jump Street and 22 Jump Street. And they wanted to make some sort of just Star Wars comedy, which again, the same misstep from Kathleen Kennedy trying to hire Taika Waititi to make some,
Taika
silly
Taika
Star
Waititi.
Wars film.
Yeah, and that's the problem is that like when you saw the success and the fan reaction to a movie like Rogue One, that should have been the formula for success. Okay, this is the world that they live in. This is kind of the world we need to embrace. Instead, it was like, oh, that's a little too deep. Let's go lighter, and it just got stupider as time went on. I mean, are you guys even excited for Star Wars Starfighter? I don't even know what the fuck it's about. I mean, it looks like a scene from fucking Waterworld.
Barely
Like
excited.
Waterworld.
It does. Like, why are they on a raft and why are they over the ocean? Where's the Starfighter? Where's the ship?
They're trying to get to this. That's the whole point. They're trying to get to the Starfighter.
Are they pilots? I mean, the kid obviously isn't. He's fucking 12.
He's got gloves on. He must be a pilot.
But you know what I mean? Like, when I hear Star Wars Starfighter, right? Obviously, I think of like an X-wing fighter or a starfighter who flies ships.
A Naboo class fighter. An
So
N1, whatever the fuck.
A Naboo class fighter. I don't think we're going that far back, but who knows? But it's like, look
I
at
mean, they
these
did
two.
in fucking Mandalorian.
Yeah, but that was cool though. I like that. That was a callback.
Stupid.
I mean,
Yeah,
but
I
I mean, you called it with the bubble. You're like,
I
he's
did.
gonna go in there, and then he was in there. Like, oh,
Yeah, you're like, oh, look, I'm in a bubble. Like, all right. Well, because they can't get rid of him. He's like a pet.
Well, and then look at this shit. It's like they're on a fucking raft, floating on God knows what, and
They're
so
looking for that the Mesosaur or whatever.
I don't think, like, it feels like these guys are not New Republic,
They probably
Fighters,
crashed. They're stranded,
yeah.
and they're trying to get off the planet.
something like that. You know what I mean? It's kind of like
It
why
looks
is it
like
called a
it's a
Starfighter?
wave runner or some sort of bike because he's leaning on handlebars.
I don't like. Is
looks
he
like
an
handlebars.
ex-starfighter and now he's live? I don't. You know what? I'm not even gonna speculate. I don't give a shit. So there it is, a taste of Star Wars Starfighter. Let's move on to the next bit of news. Kelly Marie Tran calls Kathleen Kennedy's exit from Lucasfilm such a loss.
Yeah.
She had such.
that was her bread and butter. Like, if
She-
you're gonna hire me,
She says
you need to be the one.
she says she had such an incredible career to have anyone who is not just a woman, but who is so capable in that role for so long, and it's historic. Oh my God. I think that's such a loss, but I'm very happy for all the life changes she is making.
I mean, good for her.
I mean, what else would she say? Yeah, she's
Yeah.
not going to say anything.
This is a travesty.
Yeah, it's going to be positive. Whatever.
Bring her back. I will pick it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a fucking robotic response.
I'm
you
a
know?
cybernetic organism, living tissue over a metal endoskeleton.
It's like where's the humanity in this? Like, where's your actual opinion? And look, she probably brought you along and helped create the story for you, which was absolute garbage. The Rose Tico storyline was so dumb. And I know Ryan has a new purpose for Rose Tico,
Yes.
which we're going to hear about later on. I think the sister should have played Rose Tico because she was hotter, but that's besides the point.
Besides the point.
It's besides the point.
It still would have been a horrible character. It would have been
it was
a better
poorly
looking
written.
character, but it still would have made no
one
sense.
gave a shit when we first saw her. It was like, oh, she died. Okay. Oh,
Yeah,
wait.
but not only
it's
that,
just
but like her hair, like the way they designed her hair in this movie
Is unflattering.
they gave her like helmet hair. It looks like she could be like,
Yeah.
put that down. It's like I'm not gonna go on to fashion and hair, but it's like it's a shitty character. Both these people here are shitty. But I guess you're right. What is she gonna say? She's not gonna badmouth her. I mean, she gave her a
not gonna say
career.
nothing. That's pretty generic.
Yeah, and she doesn't have any press people, so she wrote it herself. So, but maybe it was ChatGPT. Maybe she just like ChatGPT and then send it off.
Or maybe
Like,
she
it
used
was a
Gronk.
horrible loss.
Grok or what's the other one? Claude.
Gemini.
Gemini. Yeah. You get Gemini this. Here we go. Dave Filoni's Mandoverse film will reportedly be reworked into a limited series on Disney Plus if The Mandalorian and Grogu flops at the box office. I can tell you this. The name The Mandalorian Grogu is a fucking stupid name. It's like, how dumb can you... Why just call it The Mandalorian?
Because they need people to understand that Grogu is in it. Grogu's what's selling the
Grogu
tickets.
sales must be amazing.
Yeah,
But
I
that's
mean,
what I'm
that's-
saying. Like,
must be really good.
if it's so important to have Grogu's name in it, then to me that it's got to mean that it's going to be kid friendly because they want to attract the kids.
Of course it is. Have you seen the trailer?
It looks pretty dumb.
I mean, the problem that they did with both Mandalorian and Grogu is number one, his name is what? What is Grogu? I mean, I'm sorry, what is Mandalorian's name?
Din Djarin.
Din
Well, you know
Djarin.
it. Okay, but no one else knows that shit because they don't say that in the show. They don't. Everybody, even what was in Carl Weathers, his character. I don't even remember his character's name, but his character's like, hey, Mando, right? Because they know him as Mando. Everyone knows him as Mando. Nobody knows him as Din Djarin, which is
kind of dumb because there's a
very dumb. No, it's very dumb.
Yeah, no, not
And
kind
when
of.
they
It's very,
introduced
very.
Baby Yoda, everybody called him Baby Yoda because they were like, it's the child. You know, it's like, what? You're gonna introduce this new character and just call him the child, and then everyone else around you is gonna call him Baby Yoda, and that's what's gonna stick until finally you have to punch people in the brains and tell them Grogu, and that's why they had to call this thing the Mandalorian and Grogu. Because they're really got to get that name ingrained in their psyche.
Well, yeah, and here's the thing, yeah, because they don't want people calling him Baby Yoda, even though they still do. I mean, like at work, we sold Grogu squish models and toys. People still called it Baby Yoda. So here's the thing. It's like the only success that they've been able to find is to expand upon Dave Filoni's Star Wars universe, his characters. That's the only success that they've been able to achieve. The Ahsoka-verse, the Filoni-verse. But they keep dancing around everything else. And then when they have Luke Skywalker, they had him in that scene. What's that?
Maul was made during Kathleen Kennedy's reign.
What are you talking about?
Darth Maul?
No. Darth Maul existed.
No. The new show.
Oh my God.
Oh no.
Yeah. She was still there.
Okay, good, but
just because he left,
or
just because she left now
during the reign of Lucas in Clone Wars. So the character's been the exact same. I don't care if she greenlit the show. The show is
she
great.
greenlit the show.
Great.
She's part of the show. All that. So I mean, this is still a Kathleen
Kennedy. But the Bad Batch is
bombs, it's because of her.
Bad Batch is a cool show, but like if you missed it, it's like. It has no significance on like.
I watched Bad Batch until that one little girl showed up, and then I didn't care anymore.
Well, yeah, every single thing has a little girl or a girl showing up where they're just badass.
But
Lightspeed is a weapon woman.
I was like, I preferred like the troopers doing things, and I liked they were a unit and they did all this stuff. But then she showed up, and I was like, okay, here's Grogu. Grogu for this show.
And then Grogu was in the IG-88 robot or whatever.
They walked him around like Krang from fucking Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
It was like, what are we doing
and
right
I was
now?
like, what are you doing? It's ridiculous.
You captured so much emotion. You captured so much emotion when I'm just gonna call him what everybody else calls him. When the Mandalorian, when Mando had to part ways with Grogu. But then you couldn't help yourself because you're a fucking money-hungry fucking industry that you had to bring him back. And then they said, well, if we're going to bring him back, let's at least give them a nice big spoonful of Luke Skywalker. Which I was like, wow, they gave us a lot of that. That was insane that they were able to pull that off.
Mm-hmm. I feel like the original plan was to make a Grogu show or something. Like where it is.
That would have been boring.
Well, yeah, I mean, but I mean, they could have like passed the time a lot or something. Because I mean, it's like how long is he going to stay like that? Like how long does this species take?
To me, it would have been better if he would have left the show. And that was after what? Was that season 2 or season 1?
Season 2, he left the show, and then he came back in season 3, and they gave him a miniature Mandalorian with big ears, helmet, and armor. That he's not going to have in Mandalorian and Grogu movie. You've already seen.
Well, not only that, but they put an episode in Boba Fett to show this. They didn't even show.
Oh yeah. Well, they needed to because the Book of Boba Fett was such a trash show because they'd taken all the good part. There it is.
That's fake, by the way. That was not in the show.
They had taken all of the good parts of the Boba Fett movie that they had, and they gave it to Din Djarin, and they were left with the scraps. And they were like, "Well, we got to make a show about this because we still have access to."
It's a big mess.
To Jango Fett. Who's that guy? Tamar Morrison.
Yeah.
It's a big mess, and the Book of Boba Fett was terrible. It should have been. Horrible. It should have been more brutal, more action orientated.
Close the door.
I mean, all the the flashback scenes were good. You know, where he's with the Tusken Raiders. That was probably the best part of the show. Everything in current time was like, oh my god, what are we doing?
Back to the rule with respect.
Yeah, that was the beginning of the end right there. I'm gonna rule with respect. It was like, oh wow,
the
they
new
fucked
damn
this
you.
up.
It's like how long have you been thinking like that? What the fuck? Like you've always been a bounty hunter. Like what are you
I know
talking about?
it's
Rule
just
with
it's
respect?
fucking dumb. It's dumb. All right, let's move on.
Breaking news.
Pull it up real quick.
There it is.
Daisy Ridley on if there will be news about the new Jedi Order movie this year. I don't know, about 2026 in the future sometime. Yeah.
Wow, what a great post.
Oh my god, that's just so terrible.
I've got nothing for Star Wars. Let me make a tweet.
Kalel, no.
That's all that is.
So bad. Like she doesn't even know. She has no fucking idea.
Well, she's in the same boat as Ryan Johnson. They're just like, do you know? I don't know. Do you know? I don't
I
know.
don't know.
Like, we got to
I
put
don't
something
know,
out.
but please hire me.
Yeah. I mean, you look, she's not a bad actress. You know, she can
She's
go off
just
and do other
Poorly
things.
written character. That's it.
You know, her character is pointless. And when they made her a Skywalker, an honorary Skywalker, it was ridiculous.
Very dumb.
It was unnecessary.
It was
It was
unnecessary.
like, what are we doing? Why did you do that for? That was not, what?
Like she's
So-
a Palpatine somehow, and also somehow he has survived.
Well, yeah, and the whole Palpatine thing. It's like, dude, you just
We'll talk about that.
really-
Okay, we will talk about that in nauseum in just a short amount of time. So now we're gonna move on, and now we're gonna move on to something outside of Star Wars. We're gonna go to DC. Ooh,
Oh no!
Oh,
What are we
no.
talking about with
Oh,
DC? That can't be
man.
good.
what is this?
What the-
Drum roll, please.
Is this sport?
And here we go. We're gonna watch the trailer to Supergirl.
Oh,
That was recently released, so let's
man.
go ahead and check that out. And if you're watching at home, more than likely you're gonna say, "Hey, where's the trailer?" I had to cut it out because Warner Brothers tried to strike me. So here we go. Here is Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. Okay, I don't know.
oh, is she speaking Kryptonian?
You know what? Apparently, the one I found is of a different language. So let me find a better one. It's from Luis Fernando as well. Oh, I guess it's Brazilian. Well, that was-
Ah,
Sounds like-
okay, so still on planet,
thought I was
Yeah.
still waking up.
still on
I was
world.
like-
I was like, she must be speaking to them in their native tongue.
in the native tongue.
Yeah,
Native
James
tongue.
Gunn really is a genius.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, you know what? I do like this movie.
Let me see if I can try to find it.
Does Lobo also speak in this language?
She's like,
Humana, humana.
is this it? 2 minutes. Yeah, this has got to be it. And this came out on December 11th. What am I talking? Oh, this is the original trailer. All right. Well, we'll get to this later. But I mean, have you guys seen the trailer for?
I have seen the trailer at least once.
Briefly, I haven't watched the whole.
Briefly.
Yeah, I didn't really care, dude. I was like, yep.
The best thing about the trailer was Jason Momoa's Lobo for me. I was like, he looks good.
I was like, it's about time.
and he is stoked to play the part, so
Yeah,
good for
he's-
him.
Yeah, that's
Good for him.
definitely a role I've been wanting him to play anyway. So that's awesome.
Let's see. I'm trying to find it. All I see
Good
is
for
like
him.
little clips.
Great for him.
Well, anyway, we couldn't fucking watch it anyway. They would have flipped out on us. So overall, look, it looks like Guardians of the Galaxy with
Yes.
with the Kryptonian. I mean, Jason Momoa as Lobo, yeah, he's the right casting.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
But how will he be portrayed? I mean, Jason Momoa says that Lobo, his future hasn't been decided. So I watch he dies in the movie. I only
No, he
know
doesn't.
Lobo's in this one, so we'll see what the future of all that holds. I would love for this for his own thing to be coming out. Maybe he dies.
It'd be cool if he got a series. Maybe.
I think he will.
Yeah,
I
he
think
probably
that's what
will.
they're doing because Lobo was not in the Woman of Tomorrow comic book, right?
He was not. He was not.
So they sort of gave him a part that wasn't in there. They took their liberties and they said, we want to just do that to bring this character in because they have some sort of plan for him, right? They're not just going to bring him in.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, you thought he was Aquaman? No, he's Lobo. All right, well, we'll see you later. We'll never
Go
see you
fuck
again, buddy.
yourself.
Yeah.
And then Momoa also weighed in on James Gunn and Zack Snyder. He said
They're buddies.
they're buddies. He says James' career is just as equal to what Zack has done. What they've built and what their worlds are. They're amazing directors world building. Okay, that's awesome, dude. You could tell he's friends with both of them and doesn't want to lose a job. So that is very nice of him to say that.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
James Gunn and Zack Snyder. But let's go to him actually talking about the role of Lobo. Let's take a look.
I've wanted that role forever. I mean, I never thought it was gonna be Aquaman.
Yeah.
It was kind of Zack's whole thing, but I thought it was gonna be Lobo for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was Batman versus Superman.
Right.
The only guy that can come. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna play the villain. I got it. It's gonna be Henry and Affleck, and I'm gonna come and play the villain. And you're like, the only guy that can beat the shit out of both of them is Lobo. So I was like, I got this. Finally,
Totally switched it up on you.
Smoking cigars and riding motorcycles.
It's weird. The kid from Spider-Man is like there. It's like, wait, what? What are you doing there?
It's like, I got this.
That's me. You're just me. Yeah.
And then some
And
random dude.
he's like Aquaman. I was like, what?
Mm.
But his vision for it was great. But I'm super pumped. It felt just awesome.
Mhm.
Yeah. If I was like
Putting on the gear for the first time.
Yeah, and also like my first scene in it, it's like this is exactly. I'm fucking born to do this.
Hell yeah.
I'm not gonna lie to you. There's not. I mean, there's a lot of
Hell
great actors
yeah.
that can do stuff, but like what you see, like when I get to go on that press tour, and you're like, my first shot, was this. Could you do this and like and hit it and be like, and you're like, I mean, it's it. I'll tell you when we go out.
Yeah, no, bro, that'll be crazy.
But yeah, I'm pumped. It's very small too, so I mean, it's obviously her beautiful movie, and I come in and shake
some ass.
up
Yeah.
Shake some ass.
Shake some ass. What do you guys think about Lobo being in the movie? Are you excited to see Jason Momoa as Lobo in this movie?
I think that'll be the coolest part of the movie. Probably. I think
You
he's
think
just
so?
going to play himself. I don't think he has to do too much acting. It's going to be a lot of my man,
My man. All right.
All right.
So yeah, I think he's just going to be himself. That's going to be the best part of the movie.
It's like The Rock. Whatever role he's in, typically he's usually he's just Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah.
Except for Scorpion King.
Well, unless you saw the Killing Machine, that was a really good one. Ryan, are you excited to see Momoa as Lobo? And are you even gonna see Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow?
Well, we did see Lobo, so I did see Jason Momoa as Lobo. So if the movie comes out, great. If it doesn't, great. I've already seen him as Lobo, so very good.
If it doesn't,
I mean, it might get shoved like the Batgirl movie, you know.
It won't.
You never know.
you never know.
But
Kathleen Kennedy might get involved.
I mean, I'll give it a go. I'm not very keen on the whole Woman of Tomorrow or Girl of Tomorrow, whatever it is. So I don't know how the story goes. But the Supergirl that I know that I grew up with wasn't really much of an alcoholic. When you're making these sort of superhero films, and especially one that's called Supergirl. There are going to be a lot of girls that look up to, these sort of iconic heroes and heroines.
He doesn't care about that.
Well, James Gunn obviously
She just looks
doesn't.
like a drunk and a party girl.
She
That's
just
it.
looks like a party
then,
girl,
yeah,
and
that's
that's
what
not something that I think that little girls need to really look up to and admire and say, hey, you know what? That's what I want to be when I get older.
I want to be a badass.
I want to be a badass drunk. So I don't think that that's the right message to send to little girls. I think it's like, okay, cool. This is just for nerds that like girls in skimpy outfits. So there you go. I don't think it's just I don't think it's something like the Wonder Woman movie. I think the Wonder Woman movie was a fantastic movie that girls can look up and say, hey, you know what? I'd love to be just like that Gal Gadot.
All right. Well, with that being said, here is the trailer. I think I
this
found
is
the
Brazilian.
Well, maybe it's Portuguese.
Just play the damn trailer. I don't care about what they're saying.
Here, let's just turn the volume off.
Her predicament she's in. Sometime no cinemas.
She's probably a bounty.
You remember this? You remember this scene right
Oh
here?
God!
Why would you do
where was her
that?
face and her vagina during that transition?
Oh my God.
That's what I want to know.
No, but the greatest response to this scene is what you guys said. Like, why don't you just turn around?
Yeah,
Instead, you're like,
they had the extra money.
yeah, they're like, that would be cool. Let's
but
do
that
that.
took so much longer than a quick turnaround.
Just
It
turn
took so
around.
much longer for her to do. And like I said, I was like, "Where's her mouth and her vagina?" It's like, "Oh God, it's gross." You know,
It's gross. The whole thing is
He transforms like fucking Galvatron from Transformers.
it's dumb. It's
whatever
dumb.
the fuck.
I think we can agree on that. It's dumb. All right, let's move on to our next bit of news, and then we'll get to the Star Wars shit.
All the shit.
All the shit. Okay, so Jay Oliva recently came out and said that Superman was set to evolve as a fighter in the DCU. A lot of this shit just seems like it's ideas that were thrown around that I don't know where the fuck you'd fit this in, but eventually I would see Batman training him post Justice League, so he'd be pretty scary by the time he confronts Darkseid. I mean, I guess that would have happened in Justice League Part 2.
Three.
No,
Because
3
it's a Rocky Balboa training montage thing before he goes and fights. Because in Part 2 he's supposed to be working with Darkseid, right?
No, in Part 2 he turns evil at the end of Part 2, and then in Part 3 it's a nightmare scenario, and then they have to go back in time and change things. So there's not enough time to be like, hey, let's stop and train real quick. So it would have been in Part 2. He'd have been like, here, let me show you how to fight.
Yeah, let me train you so you can better kill us.
Yeah, so just don't kill me when you're fighting me. What do you think about the idea that Batman would have trained Superman to fight?
Oh wait, you know what? I mean, because Superman
was not a fighter.
Yeah, he wasn't a fighter in Man of Steel. So Batman teaching him would be pretty good on just on hand-to-hand combat, not strength, but just like what to do with your hands when you're fighting, rather than just it's always the brawler that he's got.
But to me, this feels more like it's something that you would include if this was a series, not a movie, because it's such a side ancillary part of the story.
It's like that anyway. I mean, Superman could just read a bunch of books on how to fight, right? And
he's like, let me show you how to fight. He just lasers him. Well, I guess I could do that.
I think it's just a little bit of that. Hey, guys, guess what else you missed out on?
Maybe you just show up and it's like he's been training for months or something, and then it's just we're right there.
Well, I'm sure it would have been a montage, and I'm sure it would have been some funny stuff where he would have accidentally hurt Bruce somehow,
Batman, no, Batman makes bots, and then he has to fight Batman, and then he accidentally hurts Batman. Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. But I think that Jay Oliva coming out and saying this is just more of hey, guess what you missed?
Yeah,
this is something else that could have happened.
Never forget.
Yeah. It's like
never forget.
Hey, I don't even know. Did they release that Norse Gods thing?
Yeah, it's on Netflix already.
Oh, it is. Okay, yeah. I never heard anything from it, and I never saw it. So
you're a bit of a hermit,
and I never will.
And you never
I mean, it's just like I don't know, man. It's I get it, and there's so many coulda, woulda, shouldas, but oh well. I mean, we've got to move on.
And you're right.
This is where we are,
and we got to move on. So here we go. Zack Snyder posted this new image of Ben Affleck's Batman.
He's coming back.
He's coming back. He's coming back.
Fingers are.
And so then somebody went through and they enhanced it. So there's that. And there's that. I mean,
it's the same image.
If that, I know that he's enhanced
just took the fingers out.
What? Yeah, he took out his fingers and messed with the lighting.
Actually, when you put the fingers back in, it looks like he's looking through some blinds. Like, ooh.
What do you think of this image of Ben Affleck's Batman? An early production image, because I mean, obviously, I don't think they use this set.
PBS,
yeah. I think it's just for lighting. It was just a test.
No, but what do you think of the image? I don't give a fuck what the lighting.
I mean, it's a beautiful set piece. I mean, if you look at the ladder, that is
I'm sure he has many great photos of solo shots.
But what was weird is that he almost looks blue in this picture. And it's probably just the lighting. It's just the lighting.
It's the light.
Yeah, it just looks like Ben look hopeless. Okay, now look hopeless by the Batmobile. Okay, it's the same pose.
Well, you can't move too much in that. He's just like, all right, and can we get people to lift him up and put him by the Batmobile?
I know, but again, Zack Snyder has released another image of Batman. All right, so let's switch over to one more trailer that is Super Mario Galaxy. This one's ending park.
Probably, yeah.
They always seem to reuse that. What'd you guys think of Mario? I'm excited for it. I like the first one a lot.
I like the last one. I'm excited.
Matt?
Yeah, it looks awesome. I can't wait.
So passionate.
And then what? Rosalina's in it too.
Yeah, and of course, Peach, she's gonna girl boss
Baby
again.
Bowser Jr.
Yeah, Bowser Jr.'s in it.
Yeah.
So, but that was cool. I like that we got to see more Yoshi. Obviously they hinted at that at the end of the first one. But no, it looks a lot of fun. And the first movie was really good. I feel like they kind of like shot their load in the first one. They used up a lot of, like, all the songs you could think of were in it. About the only thing they didn't do was go underwater, but they ended up using that in the end credits. But no, I think it's gonna be really cool. I mean, it's easy to say, how can you fuck this up? But you know, it is what it is. Alejandro writes, Mario is going to make more than Supergirl's entire run in its opening weekend. Well, yeah, because the kids want to see it.
Yeah, of course. It's geared for kids, and people are going to be starving to want to take their kids out and have them shut up for at least 2 hours.
And then as we transition now to our main topic, Electric Fire 621 writes, the best way to fix the sequel trilogy is to rewrite it from the ground up, show Luke's Jedi Order, and have them involved in the story. I agree. I'd rather not use Snoke, Plagueis, or Maul, but a different villain. Okay, so a little bit of backstory. In George Lucas's original Episode 7, it was going to start off with, these assassins trying to find Luke Skywalker to kill him. And I think they were, the main villain was going to be Darth Maul, which they kind of, you could tell that was the inspiration for the end credit scene in Han Solo, or in Solo. They kind of start that bit of storyline. But to me, already that sounds better than what we got, because at least it involves characters that, we've seen before in the previous movies, but it ties everything together. That would have been cool. And then also too, Han and Leia would have had 2 kids, Kira and I forgot the boy's name.
Well, the normal one would be Jason, but
yeah, but
I don't know what they called him.
I think it might have been Jason, but let's just call him Jason. Kira and Jason, and they were dispatched by the New Republic or whatever to go and find Luke before these assassins find him, who also wield lightsabers. To me, that's a better story right there. Like, oh, cool. I want to see what, it's more interesting.
There's no mystery, and that's the problem. Is the whole who does Rey belong to? What's your family name?
And then subsequently, they turn Kira into Rey, and they put her on Jakku as a person who didn't know who they were, a scavenger. And then they turned what we call Jason into Finn and made him a ex-stormtrooper, which, I mean, that was kind of a cool idea, being a stormtrooper and then leaving. But at the same time,
that's what fucking Han Solo was. He was Imperial.
Yeah. Well, you find that out in Solo.
No, but you knew that
made by
before
Kathleen
because
Kennedy
of legacy. But no. I mean, I'm just saying we've already never saw it on the big screen. It was an interesting idea for the sequel trilogy, but I think it was just not executed in a way that anybody really. After The Force Awakens, nobody gave a shit.
Yeah,
because all he was a character chasing after Rey, and in every single iteration, every single movie, he's always yelling her name.
Rey!
Yelling her
Rey!
name.
I used to have that drop.
Is that your character?
I used to have that one. Rey! And he turned into just like a broken record. That poor guy. I think at the end of the day, that would have made for a better story, having, Han and Leia's kids being dispatched to go and try and prevent these assassins from killing Luke Skywalker or from hunting him down.
Right.
And
because the way that they set it up to where you have to find Luke, and there's a piece of the puzzle that you need to acquire to some sort of map to Luke Skywalker, which was completely ridiculous.
It's stupid.
It was completely ridiculous.
And then when they found him, he was kind of like, "Why'd you find me for?" Like, well, you left fucking clues.
Yeah, you left the trail for us to find you. It's like, I don't understand that. And you're giving me my lightsaber, actually my dad's lightsaber. I'm gonna throw that thing away.
Yeah, I got that cut off my hand when I was in in Best
You,
Bin.
like you bringing this back just reminds me of my failure. On
Yeah. Okay. So I think we can all agree that one of the biggest gripes I have about the sequel trilogy is that they made the legacy characters all failures, and that was the biggest mistake.
The
they
whole
made.
thing, no, not just that, but everything was a failure.
Everything was a failure.
The Republic was a failure. The rebellion that became the Republic was a failure. They had to rename themselves as the Resistance because it was. I was like, don't call us the Rebellion. That was a failure. Call us the Resistance.
Yeah. Well, we already did the rebellion. It's gonna have to be the Resistance now. So, okay. So this is how it's gonna work. We're gonna try and fix the sequel trilogy as best as we can, but there are some parameters that we have to follow by. So this is like, we're gonna take the same ingredients. So you can't get rid of like the main characters like Rey, Finn, Luke, Han, and Leia, obviously. But the ancillary characters, you can either discard them or use them in a different way. And when I say that, I'm talking about like Rose Tico, Holdo, all those side characters. You could do what you want with them. Think of it as like we're gonna take the same ingredients and try and remake this recipe. And some ingredients we just don't like. Alejandro writes, where was the Knights of Ren in the movie? I know they were like barely used, and then when they finally fought, they died hella quick. It was like,
well, they were trying to explain that in the Acolyte, but you wouldn't let them.
Oh, fuck that. but right there, it's like if you took the concept that Michael Arndt was working with, which is the original screenwriter or the scriptwriter for episode 7, you had these bounty hunters or these assassins that were trying to hunt down Luke Skywalker, and that could have easily been Kylo Ren and the Knights of Ren that were trying to hunt him down.
Right.
So that would have made sense. And then when Kira and Jason eventually cross paths with him, it would be revealed that he is, well, I guess he couldn't be Ben, and maybe he'd be a third kid. I don't fucking know.
Well, there was a Solo's 2 kids, and then Luke had 1 kid.
Yeah, maybe it was his own kid trying to kill him. Who knows? But there was a lot of things you could do. Okay, so starting from the top, if you were to change The Force Awakens, what are some of the changes that you would make to this movie? We'll start with Ryan because he's an ex-director and huge Star Wars fan.
He's been here for an hour.
I know. Hey,
Well, number one, the
short,
first
keep
thing
it
that I
short,
would
okay?
personally-
And look, and no Alejandro, no time travel. That's for other.
We're not going into the world between worlds,
Yeah,
and stuff like that. But one of the things that I definitely would have changed, which let me see.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Is just the aesthetics. Here you go. So bring that up on the screen, please. The first thing I would have done is I would have changed what they used. I would not have gone back and used the same old X-Wings, just maybe a little bit upgraded X-Wing. This is 30 years beyond Return of the Jedi. You're going to need to see something different. So if you look at the prequels versus the originals, there's a drastic difference. If you look at even the clone ship that was used in episode 3, it looks hella different than the X-Wings from episode 4. So, you got to show progression. Like you were saying a while ago, is that they did use the E-Wing, and they used that in the Mandalorian series, and that made sense because it happened after Return of the Jedi. But this is 30 years beyond, so they would be a little bit more sleek. They'd have a different appearance, but you'd still have that same, that same feel. This still feels like Star Wars to me by looking at this. I'm like, oh yeah, I could definitely see that. You can see a little bit of influence from the A-Wing as well as the X-Wing, and I definitely would have had that. And there's some other ships that I would have.
So you would have changed the ships they use. And I
number
agree
one, I would have changed the ships that they used. Here, let me bring you to another. I would have changed. I would have made it look like Star Wars but different. I wouldn't have leaned on nostalgia. I would have said, "Hey, this is a completely different world." Well, it's the same world, but it's progressed 30 years. So what would that look like? Just look at Back to the Future Part 2. They had to pretend that they knew what 2015 was going to look like. They got it wrong, but at least they made it look aesthetically different because they went back to the 50s. Look at the 50s. The cars and everything right there looked a certain way. And then in the 80s, they looked a certain way. And then in the 2015s, they made those cars flying cars and everything else. They had dogs, walking around with robots and shit and whatever. But it was a different look. I would have done the same thing with the Empire, the TIE fighters. I would not have had the TIE fighters. I would have had different fighters, or even the bikes.
So aesthetics you would have changed. You would have showed a more progression in the technology and the designs of the crafts. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So now moving on from that.
So moving on from that, the story, I would have said, hey, you know what? I did like the Kylo Ren character. I would have, number one, kept his helmet on. I would not have removed his helmet at all, because the mystery is what creates the character. When you first saw him come out and hold on to that blaster bolt, you were like, yo, this guy means business. This guy is a threat. But when he took his helmet off and he was just sort of, acting like a child, it was like, okay, well, the mystery, number one, has been removed. And number two, I don't care so much anymore about this character. I don't want to know too much about him. I don't care, because the mystery is lost. But they kept the mystery on Rey. Number one, I would not have had Rey be somebody that you don't know, like the lineage of Rey. Like, who gives a shit? Like, I would have established that right away. Like, yo, this is Kira, or Rey. Even, I don't care about the name, but I would have said either she is Luke's child or she is Han and Leia's child. But I would have, she looks damn near really, just like Natalie Portman, as well as the other girl from that they used as Natalie's double.
Yeah.
I forget her name in episode 1, Keira Knightley. And that's probably where Keira came from. Keira Knightley. Holy shit. Anyway, so that's who I would have said, okay, she is the daughter of Luke. And then, you never find out about Kylo. Kylo could have been an older son of Luke, could have been Ben Skywalker. It didn't have to be Ben Solo. Number two, if it was Ben Solo and I did have him, and of course, Harrison always wanted to die. So that was just one of the things he always wanted to die. Number one, the main or the biggest twist that I would have made is I would have made it to where Han Solo turned the lightsaber on himself instead of Ben killing him. I would have said, okay, you're not going to do this. I'm going to sacrifice myself for my son, because I think that ultimately this sacrifice will bring him back to the light side. That's all I can do. Number one, I would never have made Han a deserter, a father that left and went back to smuggling, and never would have done that. He would have been a general, but he would have been an older general that maybe just, he's not in the fight, he is like, maybe he's on Coruscant and he's directing things from there. But I definitely would have had him a figure of authority.
Yeah.
Right?
He should have been a general. Han should have been a general. I feel like Leia should have been the Chancellor.
I would have progressed him from general, because he was General
an
Solo.
admiral. But
right.
I'm saying he still would have been a part of the New Republic military. Right. She should have been Leia. I would have made her the Chancellor of the New Republic, because why not? And then Luke should have been in charge of his own Jedi Academy.
Number one, her being Chancellor is fine, but I would have had her at the very least, been an influential politician. And at the very least, she would have been on Coruscant. And thank you. And
it was that easy.
It's an easy fix. Now, these characters, Han, Luke, and Leia, they would have taken the place of Yoda.
Yes.
And Obi-Wan, in that they are characters that our new characters have to go meet, discuss with, correspond with, leave, and we follow the younger characters on their adventure, but the older characters are there sort of as guidance, right?
Well, for me, The Force Awakens should have been where the younger characters are essentially along for the ride as you get reintroduced to the legacy characters and their current roles that they're currently in.
No, so that's what I would have. That's my schism, is that you would have had the older characters more dominant.
Yes.
I would not have had them more dominant. I would have had them as
more dominant, but as they get introduced, you learn more about them, and you see a lot of them.
Sure. I mean, you learn about
you transition
what's going on, right? How I would never the biggest problem that I had with this trilogy is that the New Republic died before we even said that, before the credits even showed up for episode 7. Like, what happened to the New Republic? We didn't even see the New Republic, right? all we have now, we went from the rebellion to the resistance, and that was the main disconnect for a lot of people. We're like, why aren't they just rebels? But why are they rebels? What is this new order? I would have had, what I would have done is I would have had the New Republic, and then I would have had the New Order trying to grow.
First order.
Or first order, new order, final order, whatever the fuck they wanted to finally call it, which is stupid. It was really stupid. But if they wanted to call themselves the first order, that's great. But have them be a lot of people defecting from the New Republic and trying to sort of usurp them because they didn't like the way the New Republic was going. They thought that, you know, maybe the stormtroopers and the Imperials, like, you needed to rule with respect. Not with respect, but you needed to rule with might versus or rule with discipline versus rule with how the Republic or the New Republic would have done with, like, compassion and things like that. You know, maybe they were like, and that was sort of the thing with Sith, is that they rule with power instead of being the servant. They make everyone else the servants, and then that's how they rule. They rule by power versus rule by diplomacy. So and as far as Luke, I would have had him either on Coruscant or back on Yavin in the temple, and that would have been where his academy was growing. And I would have had new younglings and new, I would have shown like, this is what he's doing. This is what he had grown from, what he had learned from Luke and from Anakin and from Yoda. And I would have still had Anakin, Hayden Christensen, come back in and just still console with him and still have, and still have that familial bond going, because this is a Star Wars saga. Saga means family. It's a family drama. So you need to still have that familial. You need to follow that line of Skywalker or Solo, because Solo is now grafted into the family. But the sequel trilogy, as we know it, that's not what it is. You can't say, okay, well, it was Ben Solo and that's where we follow. No, I'm sorry. The Skywalker saga is Skywalker centric, not honorary Skywalker, but Skywalker centric, meaning lineage. So I would have, BB-8's fine. I thought that was that was the best thing about the sequel trilogy.
It was a cool design. I
love the
like
design.
BB-8, and BB-8 never got annoying.
He never. Well, he did a little bit in Rian Johnson's movie, because he put him in a little.
We're talking about The Force Awakens right now.
Sorry. So The Force Awakens, we're still on that. So what I would have done was I would have done the whole assassins thing, where maybe they are going to the to Yavin or in Coruscant, and they're trying to infiltrate and get to Luke Skywalker, because what he's creating in their minds is bad. You got to kill these Jedi. Maybe some Jedi had died or whatever, and they're trying to investigate that, and like, who did this and what's going on and what's the bigger plot. And I would have had the underlying plot, the takeover of the First Order, and what they were trying to do to sort of put their factions in and try to kind of do what they did in Andor, where you have spies and you have double agents and things like that. And that's basically what I would have, or how I would have approached The Force Awakens. So I could go through the whole trilogy, but we don't have so much time. So I guess, what would you have done for episode 7?
I mean, I liked everything that you've said.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay. So now that he agrees with me.
The one big thing that I think would have been great that Lucas was going to do was like make Maul the big bad instead of like Snoke, or obviously Sidious was never in the cards. They just threw him in last second. But Maul would have been great because, for one, he's seen the rise and fall of the Republic. He knows how that works. He's seen his master plan go into effect. You could have shown some growth with him with using Force Lightning. You've never seen him use Force Lightning. It could show that he's grown in power with the dark side and everything. And then with Ben, or Jason, whatever his name would be, the only difference I would make would be like, he vanished, he disappeared, and then you see this new Sith Lord, and we don't find out who he is until maybe the end or something, like, of the trilogy or whatever. That this is Ben or Jason, whoever. I think that would be pretty sick. And then also, the one thing I did like about The Force Awakens was like, holy shit, okay, both Kylo and Rey are going to train. this is going to be so cool to see. We're going to see dark side training and light side training, a key difference or something. Didn't happen, but that would be really cool to see.
It would have been
when they proceed forward, because it's like, okay, yeah, this is badass, especially seeing the difference. Because the only time you see the difference in training is when you watch Clone Wars with like Savage, with like Lift the Pillars with Dooku.
You mean Savage?
That's his book. I thought we were talking about that.
One more thing, I forgot about Snoke because he's not an important character. I would not have made him Plagueis, but only if this my other idea didn't work. I would have made him the son. So of the father and the brother and sister of the world between worlds, those characters, okay. I would have made him the son, trying to like a vampire, use the Force to sort of gain enough essence to be whole again or be alive again, I guess. So I would have made him sort of the epitome of the dark side, and that's why he knows everything, and that's why he has been able to
that would be cool too.
Hell yeah, it'd be cool. That's why I just said it.
Because he killed his sister in the Clone Wars.
Yes. So I'm just saying, I think that he would have been a better choice as the ultimate. Like if you're going to do 7, 8, and 9, and you're going to do it with Luke Skywalker and this whole thing, and he met, Anakin Skywalker and everything, I would have made him, the new baddie. And of course you can still use Darth Maul, and he could have been the leader of the assassins, the Crimson Dawn or whatever they are. And they could have been behind the whole plot of trying to kill, Darth Vader's son or whatnot. And yeah, I mean, it all could have worked. So, what do you think, Andre?
For me, in the sequel trilogy, right? So if we're going to use the same ingredients in terms of the actors, some of the story beats and all that, I think in order to kind of course correct where they went wrong, look, I was fine with the way they introduced Rey's character as a scavenger. You didn't know who she was. You didn't know where she came from. She didn't know either, right? And to me, it would have made more sense if she was you'd later find out that she is the daughter of Luke Skywalker, because that would have made more sense. She was dropped off there by a ship. You saw it in The Force Awakens. She's reaching up and you see the ship flying away. No! That would have been Luke or an idea that Ryan put out there, Kylo dropping off Rey on that planet to kind of spare her. Because he didn't want her to fall victim of this war that was about to take place. And for me, when, I'm fine with, using Finn's character the way they used it. I wasn't a huge fan of it, but like, let's say you kept that going, right? To me, after they evade all of the, TIE fighters, that's when, they would have to head to Coruscant, and then they get captured by Han Solo and Chewbacca. There's no weird monster running around chasing people. He would be a part of the New Republic army.
Class? Or Kanji, what was it? Kanji something?
Kanji Club.
Kanji Club.
Like, what are we doing here? And that would propel them straight to it. Okay, they know that, because I'm pretty sure, weren't they aware that BB-8 had some information that, because
because the old man, Poe put it in him.
Yeah. And so they would have felt compelled, like, if he has information that's going to help the Republic, we have to take it to them. Like, well, and also too, in that or in that battle where she's flying the Millennium Falcon, it would have been more rough. There would have been more crashing and hitting and running into things.
I wouldn't have had her fly the Millennium Falcon at all.
No, I'm fine with her flying it, but it should have been way worse than what she did. To the point where Finn's saying,
badass.
I know, but hold on, let me finish. And the point where Finn is saying, like, do you know what you're doing? Like, can you not hit everything? Like, I don't know what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Where she's clearly just trying to pilot a ship and has no experience in doing so. And so eventually they make their way to Coruscant where they run into Han Solo. And then you kind of have that same kind of interaction. And then, because I like the scene where he says, the dark side, the Jedi, it's real, that whole thing. And they would have the conversation where she's like, getting nostalgic. We're like, oh my God, you're talking about Luke Skywalker, and they have that same kind of interaction. They then go down to Coruscant. There is no Chandrila. There is no, the New Republic has been removed and put on Chandrila. No, they're on Coruscant. They go to Coruscant. And when they go down, that's when Han meets Leia, who is now either Supreme Chancellor or just a higher up politician. But to me, because she led the rebellion or helped lead the rebellion, she would be a prominent figure and somebody that the Republic trusts heavily. And so
I would have gone back to Mon Mothma still, just like an older person, and then like Leia's maybe second in charge, just to kind of keep that. Yeah,
and that's fine. But that's when you meet Leia. So you have Han and Leia, and then they meet Finn and Rey. I would have gotten rid of the entire Maz Kanata scene and the lightsaber. Get rid of that. It served no purpose. It didn't. It had no payoff at the end.
Well, how are you going to use Ewan?
I would have went straight to Coruscant. You meet Princess Leia. You meet Leia,
Queen Leia.
You see their Leia and Han's interaction, and on top of that, you get to see the New Republic. You see Coruscant. You see what they have developed, in the time that you were away. So now everyone's kind of right where they should be, right? And of course, they're trying to find their son. They say, we lost our son to Snoke. We don't know where he's at. Kind of what Matt was saying, he's disappeared. We don't know where he's at. But we've heard rumoring or rumblings that things are happening, around the galaxy, kind of like what we saw in the opening scene. So then that would then lead to them going to, meeting Luke and seeing his academy. And then after you see all of that, that's when the First Order, with the use of spies and the use of terrorist attacks, so they don't call them terrorists, they just coordinated strikes, they weaken the New Republic. They don't wipe it off the face of the fucking universe. They weaken the New Republic by bombing their which was once the Imperial Palace, now it would be the headquarters of the New Republic. They bomb that. They bomb the Jedi Academy. And then you see all your characters, legacy characters, in disarray and have to overcome huge losses. And this is where the young characters would then rise to the occasion and start taking over as the new lead characters of this series. And I wouldn't have killed any of them early on. I wouldn't have killed Han. I know that Harrison wanted to die. But if I could have kept him alive, I would have kept them alive through the first movie, and all three of them alive through the first movie. Because to me, I know Ryan doesn't think that this is a big thing. I would have wanted to see all three of them together one more time. We haven't seen it in 30 years.
And they need
at
to
least
come
have
up
to have
together
that scene.
and all do the high five, like, hey.
and I would have made Rey probably the daughter of Luke Skywalker. And some would say, well, if she meets Luke, why wouldn't he just be like, hey, you're my kid, where you been? But it could have been a case where Luke doesn't reveal that he's her father because he wants her to discover that on his own, because that's just how he does things. It's either that, or my original idea, which Ryan doesn't like, was that Rey should have just been a clone. She's a clone
of Anakin or something.
No, well, she is a clone. Well, not actually. I shouldn't say it. She's not a clone, but she is a manifestation made by Darth Plagueis. Because I would have had Plagueis as the big bad in this movie. Snoke would have been Darth Plagueis, and that's why he looks so jacked up and so fucked up. Is because he's had to basically kind of resurrect himself and carry himself along. But in doing so, he created another life form, the way he did with Anakin Skywalker, and that would explain why she's so powerful. When Kylo Ren defected from the Jedi, Plagueis revealed to him that he created another life. And so because of that, he kidnapped her and took her to Jakku and hid her on that planet, because you got to remember too, Kylo Ren probably thought that she was way too powerful for someone like Snoke to have, under his wing. And also, he or she represents a threat to Kylo, because it's like, hey, no, I'm his apprentice, not her, me. Because at the end of the day, he's a selfish prick. So he hid her on that planet to basically make her go away. You know what I mean? But he didn't have the heart to kill her because she was just a small child. And then later you would find out. That's why in that scene where he goes, yeah, there's one of our soldiers and a young girl. And he goes, what do you mean, young girl? as if he already knew, like, what are you talking about, a young girl? We're on Jakku. There's no fucking way it was the girl I left here. And so that would have been a theme throughout, is that she is the girl that he hid there. Now she's back, but now that he's met her, he's sort of fallen in love with her, but he also resents her because he's supposed to be the apprentice to Darth Plagueis. And then later you would find out, and I'm going too far, but later you would find out that Plagueis is a entity that can leave his body and take over another body and become more powerful. And then that's how he's been alive for all these years. And so all these centuries or whatever. So what he wants to do is, and what Ben doesn't know, is that he wants to take over Rey's body, because he's essentially a plague, and he wants to inherit her body because she would provide him with the ultimate power. And then you would later realize and learn that that was why he created Anakin Skywalker, is because once he would reach maturity, or maybe at a certain age, he would then, his plan was to take over that boy's body and become the most powerful Force user in the universe. And so that is Snoke or Plagueis's endgame, is that he wants to originally take over Ben Solo's body, but once he found Rey, then he's like, oh my God, you found her, or she's back. I want her body because that's the one I made originally. And like when in the Last Jedi trailer, when you hear the line, "When I found you, you know, I saw raw power." To me, it should have been he was talking about Rey. And so, and then that would have made Ben, who's already a fucking weirdo, almost jealous of her, like I'm his apprentice. Later they would find out that he was going to consume their body, so he's a fucking bad guy anyway. But that's sort of where I would go with this story. Now, there's a lot of crazier, better ways to do it, but to me, I'm trying to use what was already laid out. Because if I went to Lucasfilm and said, hey, let's get rid of all of this, they'd probably tell me to get lost and you're fired. So, like, if I had to reuse the ingredients that were there, that's sort of what I would do. And that's why I think that if you make her a clone, right, she's not Luke's daughter, she's not Han's daughter or Leia's daughter, she's just an individual, an entity that even Luke can sense that she's extremely Force sensitive, but he's questioning, who are you? Like, where do you come from? Like, I don't essentially kind of like, how do you exist and I didn't know about you? Like, that doesn't seem right. Because now at this point, Lucas is like a Yoda figure. You know what I mean? Like, how did you exist for so long and none of us knew about this? And so that's kind of how I would approach it, because you can then see Rey meet all these characters, see the Jedi Academy, and be excited and be like, wow, this is Luke Skywalker. He's in legend, and all the while they're wondering, who the fuck is this girl? And Han even tells Luke, like, who's the girl? Well, that's what I came to talk to you about. Like, she has some kind of power, and then they're trying to learn about her. But in the meantime, Plagueis is sending Kylo Ren to hunt her down. And that's sort of, the path of the story. That's sort of what I would do for The Force Awakens. And I wouldn't have had a fucking Starkiller base. Like, no,
that's ridiculous. That's why I omitted that. That didn't exist in my story either.
There's First Order, because here's the thing: if you're the First Order, right, and you are the remnants of the Empire, you don't have a armada of ships and military. You are essentially you're the rebellion in this, and so for me, taking down and weakening, not taking down, but heavily weakening the New Republic would have given the First Order the advantage they needed to now compete and fight with the New Republic, because now they've been weakened. Now they're not as strong as they once were, and now they have to kind of rebound that. And to me, The Force Awakens would have ended with the First Order trying to invade Coruscant. And then all the characters would have to come together to fight off this threat. So you still got a space battle like you got with Starkiller Base, but instead it's them defending Coruscant. And they defend it, and then the New Order has to retreat. And then that would lead us into the next movie.
One thing I thought of that I forgot to say was, like, So if anybody's familiar with Darth Maul's training with like Sidious, like this would have been, in my opinion, great to do when Ben goes missing. He gets tortured so much to where he's re-engineered in his mind to be the dark side, because that's what they did in an Old Republic trailer with this daughter with this evil father or whatever, and then the mother goes after the daughter. She comes back, the daughter's completely evil, does not remember her mom whatsoever. I would have done that with Ben, because that would have like totally like just reshaped his mind to where it's just like he doesn't know who he is anymore. And then I would have had it to where Luke dies, kind of similar to like a Shmi situation, and Rey, possibly the daughter of Luke. That whole situation happens to where she's filled with rage, and then I would have saved the crack of the mask or something for Ben, like instead of using it on Vader just to show Anakin, just save it for this moment to where she realizes that's her brother. And like he is so far gone, like she's trying everything in her power to get it back. She went from rage, kind of like Luke in episode 6, to like calm, to like, holy shit, like I got to get this guy back. And maybe with episode 7, we do the Height of the Republic, like you were saying with Coruscant, where we see like everything, like, you know, the Jedi Temple, everything, or even a different planet. And then episode 8, like whenever we get to there, then we see the fall of that whole thing with Ben or whatever going after the temple with these with everything. Like I think that would have been way cooler, and you could have had a similarity between 3 and that, like Anakin and everything. I think that would have been sick.
Because imagine a huge attack on the New Republic and all their strongholds on Coruscant, and then later, and then soon after, they find out that there was a fleet of ships heading their way. That it's the First Order, and they're coming to attack them at their weakest point. And so now they have to figure out how they're going to defend their planet, and how the New Republic is going to defend itself. And so that would have been the conclusion of episode 7, a huge space battle, kind of what we saw in Revenge of the Sith, where you saw the Separatists trying to attack Coruscant and capture Palpatine. You have something kind of like that, where you're like, holy shit, it's a huge space battle. This is fucking crazy. But the whole character of Rey becomes a very hard character to sort of navigate through, because if she sees Luke and she's his daughter, he would have recognized her. He'd have been like, he would use the Force to been like, wait a minute, you're my daughter. Because I mean, like, we talked.
That's why I would never have made a mystery. That's why in my version there's no mystery. It's just that's his daughter, and he knows it, and she was trained, and they were, you know, they would go after these assassins, and they would be, you know, sent out by
and the
Darth Maul.
assassins would have been Inquisitors. I would have saved Inquisitors for this. Like it's a new era, new Sith, new everything, new rules. You know, like it's not the rule of 2 is gone. Like,
I mean, you could have had it be Kylo and the Knights of Ren, who were the ones who were hunting Luke Skywalker.
Sure.
Because,
oh yeah, definitely. I mean,
Snoke,
I'm not saying that they could definitely be used, because they weren't used.
But they weren't. But let's say you did that, right? So would you make Kylo Ren, and let's say Kira and Jason, all brother and sister, the 3 of them?
No, I would have had it to where you would have had Solo's kid, and or
Who?
Leia and Solo's kid. It would have been cousins.
Yeah, it could have been cousins.
Right. And I definitely
Who's
would have
Luke's
had,
kid? Which one of them is Luke's kid?
Oh, Rey.
I would have done Rey.
I would have done.
Right.
I would have made it Kira Skywalker. I definitely would have had you know, Mara Jade. She definitely would have been in there somewhere.
Absolutely, 100%.
You know, I would not have had Luke die a hermit, you know, trying to be a Catholic priest. You know, I can't have any, you know, relations with women, you know, none of that.
Well,
you know.
I agree with you, but here's the thing: is that when you wanted to make Snoke the son, to me, and this is just being. To me, that's diving too deep into the lore of Star Wars, where a lot of the casual fans wouldn't know what the fuck we were talking about.
Well, you have 3 films to explain it.
I know, but if he was Plagueis, then it would be easy to connect that he's the one who.
Oh, sure. Well, that's why
Anakin
Plagueis is my
Skywalker.
second choice. If it can't be the son, then I would go with
It
Plagueis.
should have been Plagueis, and the whole time he's like, yeah, like I want, or you know, it depends on how the story goes.
And number 2. I guess both your and my episode 8 would be completely different. It would no longer be a slow speed chase in space.
Oh God!
You know,
yeah,
we've run out of fuel. Oh well, let's just coast.
Yeah,
for how
we're
long?
just
for the
far
whole
enough
movie?
away where they
Not
can't
the
hit
whole
us.
movie, but for the
what?
majority of the movie, we're gonna coast.
And we're gonna go to Canto Bite.
Put it on neutral. But yeah, you know, I wouldn't have done that. There'd be no Canto Bite. But if you had to have, if you had to use the parameters, like you said, and you had to use the movie that they created,
Yeah.
what I would have done is, I would not have had Rose Tico. I wouldn't have had the sister. I wouldn't have had bombs and you know, whatever in the first little fight. You know, you can have a fight and you can have Poe and them, you know, trying to make it to where, you know, your fleet can leave. And they could have gone, and then it's, you know, that whole thing is dispersed. But let's just say that for some reason they're stranded, you know, and for some, you know, somehow they're using the Force so that they can't board the ship. You know, they can't get on the ship with these characters because they're stranded there. But then you have, you know, Poe and Finn sneak off. They sneak off to have an adventure at Canto Bite. And that's where they meet up with Rose Tico. And Rose Tico would be a dignitary's daughter. This is a casino planet. Well, she knows all the ins and outs or whatever, and she befriends them, and she kind of takes them into the city, and they find the thing that they need, not the thing that they didn't need, and they accidentally found some dude that didn't really matter, and he turned out to be, it wasn't him, and couldn't do X, Y, and Z. And I wouldn't have shown, well, everybody buys X-Wings and TIE fighters and all that crap, and I wouldn't have had any of that. But if you had to have Canto Bite, because we're following the you know, what they did, I definitely would have had it to where she helped them with whatever thing they needed to get or acquire. You know, maybe something to fix their hyperdrive. I don't know. But you know, they go off, they do that, they get the thing, and then they leave, and they leave Rose Tico there. You know, she's not a part of this, you know, the whole thing. She just helped them situationally on the planet. With Rey, I mean, you know, my story would have gone somewhere else. You know, Luke would not have been on Octu, but and Rey wouldn't have been there and giving him the lightsaber and all that. But again, if I'm trying to fix Episode 8, I'm gonna have her bring him the lightsaber, and it wouldn't be him tossing it. It would weigh heavily on him, and he would ask where she got this.
Yeah,
and she's like, this was given to me. It was given to me on, you know, and who she got it from and all that and whatever. And he's like, you know, this is very sentimental to me. And then he's like, well, why did you come? She's like, well, you know, we definitely need your help. These assassins have come in, and you know, they've made trouble for us or whatever. And he would have said, well, you know, I see, you know, you were given this lightsaber, you know, to give to me for a reason. You were sent here for a reason, and I can sense that you have, you know, a connection. I have a connection to you somehow through the Force, and I can feel it, and I can understand that you yourself are also have also had some dealings with it, or have, you know, tapped into this. And if you want, I can help you, but I can help you by showing you what I was shown. And then that way they would have their, you know, teachable moments, and he would say, hey, you know what, I can train you. You know, I don't know how long it will take, but I can definitely train you. Let's see what you know. And then they could have done their little training montage, you know, just like Luke and Yoda did, but you know, in their own special way or whatever. And that could have been it for Rey. Rey does not come back into the scene. Rey does not go back. They do not levitate the X-Wing, and she flies off in the X-Wing and all that. She stays there through this movie to get into the next movie, because she's spending so much time training, because she's never dealt with the Force before. And and you want to make it a little bit different than what happened with Empire Strikes Back, or what happened with, you know, Attack of the Clones. You want to have it to have its own little feel. So you don't. I would never have done the you know, the scene where they're, you know, in the same, you know, corridor or whatever. If you did, maybe I would have had Plagueis or the Sun and Darth Maul in the room, and also with Kylo Ren, and they have some sort of, you know, some sort of beef, and there's some sort of mutiny, and that's when, you know, Darth Maul wants to make his play, and like, okay, this is how you and I, Kylo, we're going to take this dude out. I've been plotting this forever. He's been plotting this forever. Whatever. We're still going to betray him, because, you know, I want to instill this rule of two, because I want the ultimate power. And I would have, you know, kind of kept that storyline going on its own. I would have kept everything, by itself. You would have had Poe and Finn somehow get back to the ship. They would have been able to, to reconnect with the rest of the rebels or the New Republic. And but I wouldn't have had Star Destroyers. I wouldn't have. My episode 8 would not have been that, but having to work within that parameter, that's the closest to something better that I could have done. If they had to go down to what's that planet? Crate. No, Crate. If they had to go down to Crate, which was a cool planet, you have the red dust and all that underneath the white, surface or whatever. That was cool, but I would not have made those little speeders. Basically, that's all they were. I wouldn't have had them flying around in front of the AT-AT walkers or whatever they're called, the fucking the gorilla walkers, because they had no weapons. Like, what are you do? You're not stopping them because it's always a constant advance for these machines, and they're always going to get to that base no matter what. So, what was the purpose of them flying around for nothing? So, I would have had something else happen. I would not have said, you know what, let's do a scene just like Empire Strikes Back and have that, and then a holographic, Luke Skywalker show up because Luke is still off planet. That interaction wouldn't have happened with mine. I wouldn't have brought Luke in with that. Luke is busy with Rey. Luke is busy trying to plant seeds for the future in training a new apprentice. So yeah, I mean, she just did not have. She didn't have that background in episode 7, so there would be no forwarding for episode 8 for her to go back and say, you know what, I've reached enough training and I stole your books. So I don't know. It didn't. Episode 8 made little to no sense to me, and that's why it's the weakest of the trilogy. Episode 9 was just how do we fix this, and they couldn't, and you can definitely tell. So I defer. How would you have fixed episode 8?
I mean, going for mine where we're going to the High Temple, we're seeing all there's a council and everything. I would go to the Fall of the Republic or Fall of the Council or something like that.
Well, I'm not saying you can't change episode 8 completely. You have to work with episode 8.
We have to work with
yes.
it. Wait, I thought
we can't completely change it. I would have said there is no crate. Okay, there is no Canto Bite.
Oh shit!
There is no slow speed chase.
Fuck that whole
because
thing
those are the
scrap the whole movie.
The whole movie needs to be scrapped. The whole movie needs to be scrapped.
Look, I don't know. I mean,
the Last Jedi, there wouldn't have been a slow chase. It would have been that they got all the transports and they shot off into hyperspace, and then they went to Crate because it was an old outpost that they can go hide at, and so that's where they're at while the First Order is trying to find their location. So they know that they're on borrowed time. Like, hey, we don't have a lot of time. We got to figure out what to do.
Why did we use hyperspace as a weapon and not as a means to get out?
I know it's
dumb. No, you can't. And that's another thing. It was a beautiful shot scene for them to use hyperspace hyperdrive to crash the ship into the Superstar Destroyer.
It looked great. I think what
it
I would have
great,
done
but
is
it defeated so many things. Like, why couldn't you have done this before?
Load up the escape pods with explosives and use that as a weapon or something to kind of get the Empire off your back, and then maybe light speed out of there or whatever until we buy enough time. It could be like mines in the space or whatever, and they hit it or something. I don't know, something like that. That would have been cooler.
Because I mean, in The Last Jedi, when Luke met when Luke saw Chewbacca and he gave him a hug and all that was a great scene. It was like, oh my god, they're seeing each other again. This is great. And in reality, he should have never have stayed there. He should have left with them. And if he didn't leave with Rey, he should have had the scene where he raises the X-wing and uses that to get to where they're at on Crate. Now,
fuck, time should have passed. I hate that we started right off.
That's also not a good
rough.
Yeah,
like
you know what? I mean, that alone, you saw Rey handing him the lightsaber. It should have started right there.
Training.
And then, for me at least, it should have started there, and then she would have asked him, why are you, why have you come here?
Why are you came?
And then he would have told her that the reason why I came here is because the ancient texts of the Jedi are located here on this planet, and I've come to retrieve them and also learn from them. I was expecting someone to show up. And she goes, well, I did, and here's why. And he wouldn't have been cut off from the Force. He would have been there trying to learn more about the Force to better, his, to help the New Republic fight off the First Order.
Yeah.
And that's where they went wrong, making him a hermit, making him like
I would have made him more
anymore.
like Qui-Gon. Like
Well,
I have no doubt our meeting was brought together by the Force.
I mean, the whole cliffhanger was stupid from the jump, and that's where I blame Force Awakens, because what you could have done is you could have ended Force Awakens, and said, okay, had that transaction or interaction with Rey and Luke, and had, okay, well, you're here, obviously, I'm going to train you, and then that's where you leave the movie, and then years later, years later, she's ready now. She's been with Luke for however long, and now she's ready to
construct her own lightsaber. Just
like
Luke.
I mean, and therefore she has earned the right to become a knight. She's not even a knight, but in episode 9, she's not a knight.
That's the thing too, is that if you would have gone that route, right, and you eliminated the whole, Starkiller base destroying the New Republic, right? You get rid of that. Then it would make sense that she would have been there for a few years and the New Republic is still fighting the war with the First Order because they're not decimated.
Yeah.
They got weakened or they got hurt, but they're still fighting a war. And so then you can catch up with the other characters, figure out what's been going on with the war.
Well, that could be her
First
whole
Order.
struggle, is that she's there to learn from Luke, but she also knows that she left these other people behind to fight.
Yes.
And while she's off learning, how to use the Force, she's getting impatient like Luke did when he was
exactly.
younger. And she's like, I'm letting these people die, like while I'm trying to learn here. And Luke's like, look, listen, I've been through the same thing. You're gonna have to understand.
We're keeping with the peace. We're not soldiers,
right? And so you don't want to go in there. You don't want to stop your training. You want to continue this. If you really want to help your friends, then you would help them by learning more. You would, and you could have the whole thing about her still her acting just like he did when he was younger, and him trying to reason with her now that he's the master and she's the apprentice, and having to talk to somebody who is exactly or had the same temperament that he once did. And that would have been a fun, interesting scene for everybody to see.
So if in fact, Snoke, or my opinion, Plagueis, you'd find out that that's who that really is. If he did create, let's say he went with this route and he did create Rey in the same way that he created Anakin Skywalker, who would have been the person that would have, what female, whose belly would she have been in? It couldn't have been anybody. Like, would that have been Mara Jade? Would that have been just another character? Or was she made in a test tube? You know what I mean? Like, if you were to go with the clone route or creation route, like, who carried her?
Maybe Mara Jade, and Luke just never knew about her or something, or like something happened to where they got separated.
Because she was with the Empire first.
Yeah,
Mara Jade was. So it could have been that she was, when she met him, she was already, she'd already done this, and then so he had no idea. But yet,
Mara Jade is no longer in the picture at this point, and they went their separate ways. But when they went their separate ways, she was captured by the First Order, and then she was used as a vessel for the creation.
No, I'm just they stole her eggs and put it.
They just used her as.
I would have just done the same thing. Luke, like Anakin thought his kid died. Maybe Luke thought his kid died when Mara died. Like, he didn't know she
or like Mara got pregnant, and Mara became pregnant and thought that it was Luke's child, but didn't really know. Then you later find out, no, it was never Luke's child. Snoke or Plagueis is the one who put that child in you because he was trying to create a new vessel for him to take over to be the most strongest Force user in the galaxy.
So how would you, Andre, fixed Episode 8 with the parameters of Episode 8?
Well, I sort of already said that. I wouldn't have it. It picks up. It wouldn't have picked up right where the Force Awakens left off. That was the biggest mistake. It would have shown the scene where she hands in the lightsaber. He would have looked at the lightsaber and he would have told her, "Who are you?" And then that's where the whole scene starts. And you find out he's there because he's trying to, he was there to find the old scriptures of the Jedi and learn more about them to help them in the war against the First Order. And so because of that, she's there, and he decides to train her while she's there. And so that's kind of what they're doing there. And then you jump back over to the other characters that are still fighting the war against the First Order, and you get kind of like, through dialogue, you would kind of find out that they've lost a lot of their planets, they've lost a lot of their territories, but they're still fighting the First Order. It's just become a stronger battle than they had anticipated, and it feels like the First Order knows what they're going to do before they even do it. They somehow have an advantage on them. They don't know why. It's because they don't know about Snoke. They don't know that he's Plagueis. They don't know there's a massive Force user who's behind all of it. All they know is that Kylo Ren is leading the First Order with somebody dictating to him what to do.
And how would you have implemented Canto Bite?
I wouldn't have. I would have cut that.
I mean, the only reason why I implemented it in mine is because, hey, I was like, if you got to use it, this is how I would have used it.
Well, I mean, I think if they were going to Canto Bite, it couldn't have been like, we got to find the code breaker. Like, that was like, what?
I thought you meant the key master. Those are the Gozerian.
That's like when you say we're trying to find the code breaker. That's like saying I need you to go to Freetown and find the code breaker. Like, what? That's all you thought of? There had to be a reason why they went there, and it could have been that the reason why. Let's say you had to give them a reason to go to Canto Bite, right? And to me, who's the one person, the one character? Lando Calrissian would have been. He would have been at Canto Bite.
Yes, and that makes more sense than him just being at a random party in Episode 9
in a fucking desert.
Hey, I see you guys find my Colt 45.
And so they're like, "Hey, go to Canto Bite. Find me." Leia would say, "Find Lando Calrissian," and they'd be like, "Who's that?" Like he used to be
sex with droids.
No,
He's
but like
easy to
he was
find.
once a general in our military. But like Lando, he likes to do Lando things, so we need his help. And so they go to find Lando and bring Lando back to help them fight against the First Order. And so when they do come back and they're in the Millennium Falcon, and, they wouldn't be like, "Oh, they hate that ship." It would have been the Millennium Falcon, probably with other ships that were part of like Lando's crew that he assembled. And in that case, Lando would have been the one flying the Falcon, fighting against the AT-ATs as they're approaching the base, and that's kind of how that would have gone. And really, it's like Luke would have been there in person. It wouldn't have been a forced representation. He would have physically have been there.
Yeah, I would have kept that haircut throughout the whole series.
Yes, and like the moment he shows up, that's when Kylo Ren orders. See, this is the problem, though, is that Snoke's already dead by this point, and man, it's just fucking dumb.
Yeah,
God!
It is.
Because the problem is that when they killed Snoke and they basically appointed Kylo Ren as the leader of the First Order, he wasn't ready.
Yeah.
Character development-wise, he was nowhere near being ready to take over as the big bad.
The timeline happened right after Episode 7.
It was just like, wait, what? He was just a fucking raging idiot like
he got his ass
a couple
kicked.
of weeks ago.
He got his ass kicked. He split by the deed, and he's broken. Like, there is no villain. He's just broken.
Also, for Carrie Fisher, just because of the way things were, I would have had it to where Kylo Ren had that moment, because it's in their movie, it's his son or her son, to where he puts his finger over the trigger and then is like, "No, I can't kill my mom." And then the TIE fighter pilot behind him is like, "I don't have any, I don't care." And he kills her. She actually dies.
Yeah.
There's no Carrie Poppins moment.
Yeah,
She's
died.
not on life support, because unfortunately Carrie is passed on, I would have said, okay, you know what, she's in the film, I'm going to honor it. There's this one scene that this can happen, and I would have made it that would have been the shocking moment. Like,
that's
wow.
why. I mean, that's why I would have Snoke like constantly torture him, just so like he gets angry, but he's angry at his master, but he's taking out his anger on the.
Well, the thing is in the Force Awakens, I would have had it to where Han killed himself. I would in this one, I would have had it to where the stormtrooper or the TIE fighter pilot would have killed his
you're
mom.
just gonna have a weak villain.
He doesn't have a weak villain. He takes it all out on, because he's told that he needs to kill his parents, but he's not the one that's actually doing it. So he's like, he has so much he just has so much pain and
but like
anguish.
What does that villain do? Like, okay, he has to kill somebody. Who does he kill?
Plagueis.
Yeah,
that's right.
No villain. There's no villain. He doesn't do anything.
Or I would have had it.
It's like Vader doesn't kill anybody, but
I would have had it to where it's like, you didn't kill anybody. I would have had it to where like Darth Maul would bully him, because he knows that he didn't do it. He wasn't strong enough.
If you're using the outline that was already made, then there's no Darth Maul. At this point, he wouldn't fit into any of this. If you're using the same ingredients that they use, you're just kind of course correcting the storyline.
Still, at that point in time, I would have killed Carrie. I would not have had her in Episode 9.
Yes, I think Carrie Fisher should have died in that scene. The other pilot shoots the ship. She gets sucked out, and she dies. Kylo Ren, seeing that she just got killed,
he
lashes
shoots the
out.
TIE fighter pilot.
Yeah, no! He goes over and he blows him up, but that also creates more conflict within him and creates a scene that when he has Rey on the ship in front of Snoke calls him out on that and says, you're weak. I saw you. I saw what you did.
Yeah,
you piece of shit.
More like, he wouldn't go to the light side.
He's not going to the light side, but
he would basically be his own.
The thing is that like, okay, so you let's say you're a bank robber and you go to this thing, and then this guy comes out, and then it's like, okay, if anybody comes out, you got to shoot him, and you don't shoot him because you're a coward. Well, then the other people that are with you are like, man, you bitched out, man, you're such a bitch. It's the same thing. It's they're gonna be like, man, we can't trust you to do nothing. And then so that again, with like you were saying, they're mentally torturing this cat so that he is going to be even more and more confused and more leaning in on rage and emotions.
The pilot that shoots the ship that ultimately kills Leia should have been one of the Knights of Ren, who they should have all been pilots as well. And so then he kills one of his own people, and so that causes like, for Snoke to say, what the fuck is wrong with you? You're fucking weak. You're a bitch, but in a much better way. And then at that conflict, while they're in orbit over Crate and they're getting ready to launch their attack, to me, that's when Snoke sort of reveals, like bring her to me. I want Rey over here, and that's when he reveals to Rey that like, you want to know where you came from? Like, I created you. And this is why I created you, because you will be the vessel that I will use to become the most powerful Force user in the galaxy, to rule this galaxy. And that's when Kylo Ren finally realizes, like, holy shit, like, I've been played this entire time. This motherfucker, everything he wants to do is for himself. I was never a part of the equation. And that's when he realizes that I have to save her, and we have to get the fuck out of here. He doesn't kill Snoke, because if he does, then it's kind of like, okay, well, now Plagueis is dead. That was dumb. But I think he tries to kill him, but Plagueis, probably throws the lightsaber elsewhere, and then they have a fight with the what do you call it? The guard.
I wouldn't have had the guards. I would have had the Knights of Ren.
Knights of Ren.
Yeah.
Then they move in, and then they have their fight, and at that point, instead of Snoke staying there, like, yeah, fight.
Yeah.
He would leave. He would retreat and leave that ship, because he knows, okay, shit's about to hit the fan. I'm getting the fuck out of here, because I'm a strong Force user, but I can't physically do much, So he gets out of there, and they see him leave, and they're like, shit, But then,
holy smokes!
I don't know. Maybe he would sit there. Sidious sat there with Vader and Luke. Maybe he would just sit there.
But there has to be a reason for them.
There'd be a reason for him to leave,
because he has to be in the next one in the final fight.
Exactly. And
so here's my thing is that the way the Last Jedi would end is that Lando and he'd probably have like a group, kind of like the in Guardians, Hondo had that group of the Ravagers,
the Conjure Club.
Yeah, he would have had a group like that, like because they're a bunch of gamblers, raiders. You know what I mean? Like if anyone went back to their old life, it was Lando, not Han Solo, because he had too much connection to the Republic. Lando eventually goes back to being a smuggler, and so he has his group of like pirates, and they come in and they help defeat the First Order in defending the base on Crate. There is no escape where she moves all the rocks. There's none of that.
Yeah.
And so at the end of the battle, because that fleet that was there gets destroyed, right? And you figure, okay, there's probably more battleships, but we destroyed this fleet, this First Order fleet. And then at the end of that battle, Rey goes back down to Crate with Kylo Ren, who's now removed his helmet, and you see his face. Mm-hmm. And that's when Luke, the two of them get reintroduced. And, they realize, Ben realizes that what was happening to him was, he was being played, he was being manipulated, and he's looking for forgiveness because he and essentially he wasn't in control of what he was doing. And that's when they kind of reconnect with Kylo Ren, and then he turns back into Ben Solo. And then in The Force Awakens, that is where Ben, he's now a good guy in The Force Awakens. So you can still call it The Force Awakens because now Ben has come back to the light side. Luke has reemerged as a leader for the Jedi, and now Rey is a part of that as well. So that's how I would have ended The Last Jedi, is that I would have reconnected Luke and Ben Solo with Ben. Essentially, you can't really apologize for the atrocities, but coming to grips with the fact that, hey, look, I was wrong, and I was being played, and I don't know where to go from here. And Luke ultimately, he ultimately forgives him because, one, they're family, and two, it wasn't his fault for what happened. Snoke was the reason why this happened, not you. You were being manipulated by that. And so that's how the second one would have ended, is them coming back together. The third one would have been The Force Awakens, where now they're working together as a team of Force users, and then the battle goes to Exegol, where there wouldn't be like a ginormous fleet with all guns, guns
and horses riding on top of star destroyers.
It just would have been the New Republic. It would have ended with the New Republic sending their fleet to go attack Exegol to finally wipe out the First Order. I keep wanting to call it the New Order. The First Order,
the Final Order.
It would culminate with the three of them, Ben, Rey, and Luke Skywalker, going up against Snoke. And
in episode 8, Finn should have been learning his abilities. They should have made him Force sensitive. Like, they should have expanded upon it more in episode 8.
No, to me, I think Finn is a really wasted character because
he's a wasted character.
He never really had a purpose.
Make him a Jedi.
No, not everybody can be Jedi, man. And that's a big problem that I had with Rian Johnson. He's like, anybody can be Jedi if they really try.
Okay, well, I'm not
even the little boy.
No, I mean, it's the same thing with that.
Broom Boy. Broom Boy.
The Ahsoka show, where they're like, hey, that one girl, like
Sabine.
Sabine, she can be Force sensitive if she really tries and really, really concentrates.
Okay, well, no, I'm not going with
like, no, dude, screw that.
Force sensitive.
It's
stormtrooper. Cool idea.
But also, look, I would have also have in episode 9, I would have introduced Mara Jade back into the fold, where you're like, wait, she's not dead?
What was her, Carrie Russell? That should have been her.
And then you realize that she was not dead, and now she's reemerged. And yes, she was the one that carried Rey as a fetus while she was being, she was captured by the First Order. And then Luke would then realize, so I couldn't sense you because Snoke was blocking you because you were on Exegol. Like he had you blocked out to where I couldn't find you in the galaxy. And so you reconnect with her. And by default, Rey is essentially the daughter of Luke Skywalker because, for one, Mara Jade carried her, and Snoke used the same, I guess you could say, like the same recipe to make her like he did Anakin Skywalker. So they're sort of related through their midichlorians, and so that's why, and that's how she would take on the name Rey Skywalker, because he would appoint that name to her. And Luke would have never have died, by the way. He would have lived on at the end of this movie because he would have given her the name.
Yeah. Well, I would have made it to where Kylo didn't last. He didn't make
Kylo
it.
should die.
I would make him, he realized, like you were saying, he realizes, oh, I've been played. I'm gonna sacrifice myself to save you, because I know that I was just a pawn. I have no place here anymore. They're going to kill me. They want to use you, but I'm not going to give them that because I realize that I've been used for this whole time.
Yeah, it would have been cool, like to see a Sith on Sith fight, and then he pushes Rey out, door closes.
And she's she's able to flee, and he stays there to keep them occupied while she makes her escape.
But do you kill Kylo in The Last Jedi, or do you kill him in
the Last Jedi? No, in The Last Jedi. I would not. I would have his sacrifice be something greater.
Yes.
So I would not have him to like, okay,
so if
I've
that's
made
the
it to the
case,
final battle. Like this isn't a video game.
Yeah,
This is a story.
But if that's the case, then after they defeat the Knights of Ren, and then they turn their attention to Plagueis, Plagueis immediately, is shooting.
And my thing, so
like
Plagueis
he's gonna
wouldn't
kill.
be there.
He's gonna kill. But it could be the point where he's going to kill Rey, and in order to save her life, Kylo has to sacrifice himself, and to get her out of there. So that, and then in doing so, he dies, and then Snoke,
Sure. It could be that like
Plagueis escapes, and then that goes into the next movie.
Right. The whole thing is for Plagueis or the son to have her deceased, so that she, if you're going in with your thought, this wouldn't have been mine, as far as like taking over her body and all that kind of stuff. But for yours, it would have been that as soon as Snoke or Plagueis or whatever sees that he's not going to be able to get Rey, that's when he leaves the Knights of Ren to take care of.
He's just like, fuck, I'm out of here.
So then Snoke leaves, much like the Emperor or Vader, in like a lambda shuttle or something, and and then Kylo ultimately kills them, but then he dies as well because the place blows up or some shit. Yeah, so he's dead.
It'd be a case where kind of like in Man of Steel when he runs over and he's holding that piece of metal so the guys can escape. It'd be something like that where a huge piece of whatever is about to fall. He's a strong enough force user where he can hold that up and prevent the ship and them from Rey from dying. And he tells her to leave, and then he force pushes her into the ship. And then the ship takes off, and then he essentially lets go of it and just dies.
Right.
The ship
And
blows up,
in the
and he's dead.
last one, I guess we'll move to episode 9, right? So for episode 9, I would have had it to where Anakin and Luke they're introducing themselves to I guess either Kira or Rey or whatever.
Well, I'll tell you what. We need to wrap things up because I have to go pick up my son. So next week, we're going to break down how we would have changed The Force Awakens. And so that would be the thumbnail for...
The Rise of Skywalker.
The Rise of Skywalker.
Yes.
I think The Force Awakens would have been a better name for the episode 9.
There's so many things that are better. The Last Jedi, like what?
Last thing I would have done, Crate should have been a droid factory, an abandoned droid factory. Done.
That'd have been cool. Because why was it an old rebel base? Like, how come they abandoned it for? That doesn't make any sense. Like,
but then you would have had to have like the Anakin and Padme and 3PO and R2, kind of like all the factory, and they're sort of moving around like a video game.
I'm not saying like that.
Hey, to branch off of that, what would have been cool is if it was a droid factory and there was a bunch of what do you call it? The Trade Federation
battle droids.
Yeah, there was a bunch of battle droids not being used, and so in the fight, they used the droids like Roger.
Oh, that'd have been cool.
And you're like, oh shit, there they are.
Yeah,
also the Geonosian, like the one with the big wheels, and they shoot missiles.
You're talking about
on Geonosia, yeah.
Oh, you're talking about the vehicles,
the red and everything.
Yeah, so like
it could have been
they could have like activated them and that's
cool.
Instead of the stupid and you could have still have it to where like the wheels are rolling and kicking up all the red dirt.
Yeah,
and they and that would have been a lot better than them just flying around in circles until
if it was the droids doing that
to take out Finn and they don't get killed. And then they kiss. Oh God.
Well, no, like they find out that there's still an army of droids still stationed there. They activate them. They send them out to fight, and then you'd have the comedy scenes where it's like Jedi Corporal, we'll cover you, Roger, Roger. You know what I mean? Like that kind of banter where you're like, oh my god, there they are, and they're the ones flying in those little speeders.
Well, see, when they were making the sequel trilogy, they were afraid about the prequels. They were like, nobody likes the prequels. No, and that was never really the case. Yeah, they did lean on a lot of Jar Jar, too much Jar Jar in my opinion, and they did lean on a lot of extra green screen when they should have had practical things. But overall, it was still a well-received trilogy, whereas the sequel trilogy is not.
It's not. Guys, that's going to do it for the show. Next week, we're going to break down how we would fix the Rise of Skywalker. The Rise of Skywalker. We talked about the Force Awakens. We talked about The Last Jedi and how we would have changed it. We also talked about how we would have course-corrected the storyline to make it much better all the way around. I want to thank Ryan. I want to thank Matt for being here. This concludes our episode of Nerd Up. If you want to support the channel, you can do so by going on Patreon, looking up the Nicotina Show, and you can become a member on there, or just simply go over to zevercomics.com and support Ryan's new comic, The Nephilim. There are options on there to support or even buy a copy of The Nephilim. Issue number 1 is available now. It's a really cool issue, guys. Definitely check that out. But until next time, you guys, we will see you next week to talk
May the
about
Force be with you.
The Rise of Skywalker. All right, guys. We'll see you guys next time.